everything Biden was doing was just trying to destroy America. You know, I feel like Trump is trying to bring us back. You know, and if it's gonna take a little pain at first, it's like, let's weather the storm. This is for our children. This is for our future.
Yeah, talking about things not go like income tax. It's hard for me to imagine a world without income tax, but it's relatively new in our culture, like 100 years, relatively.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, just maybe that was like a non-sustainable.
Check this out. This might freak everybody out, but did you know that like 150 years ago, I could hand you a $20 bill?
Crazy.
Yeah, can't do that anymore. Like you can, but IRS will come at you if they find out. That woman from the IRS who just resigned because they were going to start deporting. They wanted the data to deport people, and she was like, I can't do that. But the IRS has increased collections on poor people over the past several years. They got no problem with that.
Man, I think reducing income tax makes a lot of sense, if not negating it, because, like, look at crypto. No one is paying income tax on crypto trades. I mean, maybe they are, but it's
Uber.
trying to track that crap.
Uber.
What about Uber?
People aren't paying taxes.
Uber drivers?
I don't know about Uber specifically, but the reason we're seeing these Uber laws is because with the gig economy, people are just taking the money and they're not filing it.
It's like a de facto common sense tactic. Like if you make a law that you can't enforce, you look like a mocker, like you look like a fool. You look like an idiot. So don't make, if you can't enforce the law, I think repealing it might not be that bad of it. I mean, you just kind of got to accept the flow, you know?
What makes you look like more of a, what is more mockable?
If someone makes a law that they can't enforce?
What's more mockable? Making a law that you can't enforce, or making a law admitting that you can't enforce it, or no, making a law and selectively enforcing it, right? Don't always enforce it, but when you can find people and when you can find someone that does, you go ahead and enforce it. So you're basically not enforcing the law over everybody. It's selectively enforced. Or making a law and admitting we actually can't do this, so we're going to repeal it.
I think I consider it more of a mockery to be completely unable to enforce the law. It's like, why? What is this just on paper? Like, what are you doing? Are you trying to?
That's why they selectively enforce it.
Maybe they're trying to.
That's what I'm saying. So it's more like you make yourself look like more of a fool by passing a law and then saying, well, we don't have the power to enforce that. The government doesn't do that. The government's going to pass the law. They're going to keep the law in place, and they're not going to enforce it all the time. They're going to enforce it whenever they can, or they're going to use it as a means to attack people they don't like.
It was the same thing with marijuana. Same thing they did with marijuana with the law in the 60s and the 70s. They went after the Black Panthers and the hippies with it. It was such an easy thing to use when you needed it. It was such crap.
I mean, they would pick anyone up. Like if they caught people with pot, like I know a lot of people that, of all different races that got caught with pot and got in trouble for it, But when it comes to when it comes to major legislation, they're not going to repeal it. They're going to use it as a selective enforcement, and they're going to attack their political opponents with it.
I think that's the weaponization of the law for sure. I would like to see, though, like a just, correction. That I wish I was 150 years old so I could remember what it was like before we had income tax, so that I could.
When you could go to your neighbor and be like, "Hey, can you help me hammer in this fence post? I'll give you 20 cents." Well, I guess back then it'd be like, "I'll give you 2 cents."
Yeah, 2 pence now, and
that's Britain.
Oh, maybe they did that in Britain too. Yeah, and you could have 10 of your friends come over and build a house and then give them all a little bit of the money, and then you all of a sudden have a business.
Now you can't. Now in West Virginia, you can't actually even contract private individuals. The individual can't work in West Virginia. It's illegal.
That's got to change.
Yep. Yeah, if you are an individual and you decide to come to West Virginia and you're like, I will do some odd jobs for cash, no, that's illegal.
What?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They banned it.
You got to start a corporation and then get your company hired by their company to.
Yep. You got to pay it. You got to pay to incorporate. You got to open a corporate bank account.
It's like $1,200 too. It's great.
And it's because people started doing jobs on gig apps and they're not paying their taxes.
I can't find confirmation of this, but there are a couple big Twitter accounts that are reporting that China says it's willing to negotiate tariffs, but will fight to the end if the U.S. refuses to compromise.
Yeah, that was the other day, I think.
No, that was just like 2 minutes ago.
They said they will fight to the end.
That was the point that like I said, I can't find an actual official confirmation. Like multiple accounts are saying China is saying that they want to come to the table to negotiate about tariffs.
And I think they sent out a call like all countries of the world join us in empowering our global economy. And people are like, yeah, right. Sorry, China. Like you're cool and all, but
like I said, I'm looking. I haven't seen like Reuters or anything talking about it, but there are multiple accounts that are talking about it. And they were mostly small until Watcher Guru with 3 million followers started talking about it.
Well, until we get official confirmation, I say
Roger that.
shenanigans.
Yep.
I mean, why wouldn't China negotiate? They've been isolated. Trump's got the whole world negotiating with us for trade deals, and China's cut out. He's got him in a tough spot.
Look, China is an adversary. Like, we don't have to treat them like, maybe they're not to the level that Putin is, but in the future, we're going to have to deal with the fact that China is not a friend to the United States. We are not, we're adversaries. They don't look at the United States as friendly. Look at the way they treated the Biden administration when they met in Alaska. They straight out said, "You're not in a position of strength with us."
Did you guys see?
The United States needs to get into an economic and we need to remain in a military posture that allows us to deal with China the way that China wants to deal with us, because China's not looking to be our friend.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.